Humanity continues its normal, steady existence. Important government matters are being handled at the White House. Outside its boundaries, regular folks are making arrangements for the next day, not knowing about the shifts that are coming for them. However, one morning alters everything. Without explanation, every male in the city abruptly perishes. To put it another way, every male creature, from animals and birds to humans, dies. One of them is the nation's leader. The only men left alive are a young, untalented magician called Yoro Brown and his pet monkey, Aeson. If there was an emergency, Regina Oliver was meant to become president. But when the disaster happened, she was overseas and nobody has heard from her since then. Predictably, the lack of a leader results in serious problems. Chaos breaks out in the city as women, in a state of panic, start to wreck everything nearby, unsure of how to continue their lives. Stress increases inside the White House too. The employees understood that in a fortnight they would be entirely stuck. The reserves of coal and fresh water will be depleted. The food supply will also run out quickly. Creatures are unable to have offspring, and building up sufficient supplies quickly is just not feasible. And this impacts more than just a single city. It will affect everyone. Senator Jennifer Brown assumes control of the leadership. Agent Sarah Bergen, part of the president's secret task force known as 355, quickly approaches her. Sarah explains she was dispatched here because of a genuine danger, but lacked the opportunity to get specific directions for her new assignment. Throughout this period, Yoro remains in his flat to prevent being pursued by women who are desperate. But with provisions running low, he chooses to write a message for his girlfriend and go out to assess the circumstances. Concurrently, Senator Brown dispatches Sarah on a quest to locate her daughter, Hero, who hasn't been heard from since the catastrophe. However, Hero doesn't immediately seek a secure location. Instead, she goes to a refugee camp to assist people who need help, including the spouse of her dead boyfriend. Following that, Hero goes back to the hideout where her companions are assembled. Initially, it appears that a few men remain in the city, but it soon becomes evident that these individuals were assigned female at birth and have undergone hormone treatment. As a result, the strange illness did not affect them. In New York City, people start to leave and large military trucks drive through the streets. Yoro needs to conceal himself to escape capture by the soldiers. Nevertheless, he succeeds in slipping into a nearby pub to drop off a further note for his girlfriend. Yoro still believes she is alive and that if she sees his autograph, she will come back. Normally, Yoro avoids being noticed, but on this occasion, events don't unfold as expected. His monkey gets away, making Yoro pursue him. The agitated Amperand goes down into the submerged subway and vanishes into the murky water full of dead bodies. Despite his revulsion, Yoro chooses to go along, not wanting to lose his sole companion. Later, Yoro believes he spots another person alive close by, but it turns out to be only an illusion. Looking around with his torch, he finds only murky water. After emerging from the water, Yoro slips into a clothing shop to get new clothes. But he doesn't manage to remain concealed. The store owners see the unclothed person and stop moving in surprise. One of the ladies proposes catching the man and turning him into the police for a good prize. However, feeling sorry for him in the end, they released Yoro, providing him with some fresh clothes. The pressure Yoro has faced almost makes him lose his mind. Watching the videos on his phone, he remembers when Aaron first appeared in his life, and upon hearing his friend's voice, the small monkey comes out from where he was hiding. The pair goes back to their house, believing it to be secure. However, when Yorick hears the door begin to open, he understands his mistake. An intruder has entered the apartment, and he will need to protect himself. Grabbing a guitar, he conceals himself around the bend, but he never gets an opportunity to attack. Sarah shows herself to be quicker and more powerful. She takes Yoro's weapon and a few hours later brings him to his mother, Senator Brown. The airmen who flew Yor to the White House are imprisoned. Sarah mentions they should rest following a long journey, but everyone grasps the true motive. It is crucial that no one discovers the new president's son is still alive. If not, doubts about a plot might emerge and cause even more disorder. Euro isn't happy about what's happening either. After resting up from all he'd experienced, he chose to explore, but his inquisitiveness nearly caused a catastrophe. In a deserted office building, Mara, the late president's widow, finds him. Jennifer and Sarah get there right on time and succeed in making it appear as though Mara is having a mental breakdown. At the same time, Euro successfully conceals himself, but the danger to the plotters intensifies and Sarah demands that the child be removed from the White House. The deceased president's daughter attempts to discover precisely what her mother witnessed that evening. Jennifer tells the girl it was just a dream, but Kimberly thinks President Brown is not being truthful. Jennifer Brown tells her assistants to locate a geneticist who can study York and determine what occurred on the planet and how he and the Capuchin managed to survive. The president intends to bring experts to the White House, but Sarah stays resolute. It's too risky, and they need to move Euro away from the city. The operative is prepared to undertake this dangerous assignment, but it needs to be completed with urgency. Concurrently, in Israel, an injured woman awakens. After discovering that every man on earth has passed away, she announces her intention to become the President of the United States. Nora Brady, who used to advise the president, must travel with her little girl, Mackenzie. After losing her husband and sons and having no way to live, Nora finds it hard to recover, but in the end chooses to battle to protect herself and her daughter. Word arrives at the White House that Regina Oliver, the leading contender for president, is still alive. This causes a division among the employees. One group stays faithful to Jennifer Brown, while the other aligns with Regina Oliver and Kimberly, the president's child. Because of the circumstances, Jennifer must agree with Sarah and let her son be taken to a more secure place. Sarah recruits the pilots who had earlier flown Europe, inspiring them by giving hero stars and guaranteeing everlasting fame if they complete their task. The sole method to discreetly remove Euro from the structure involves a cart containing deceased individuals. The child attempts to decline and suggest a different approach, but Sarah stays firm. They can't risk anything, and Euro will just have to put up with it. The agent manages to get Euro out and puts him on a helicopter. She plans to fly it personally. Another helicopter, with only women pilots, will fly in front to distract. But once the helicopters get to a specific height and are no longer visible, the accompanying helicopter goes out of control and blows up into a rain of fiery wreckage. Euro is horrified by what he sees, but Sarah stays calm. Understanding this was what it took to keep the pilot quiet. Following a few hours of flying, Sarah and Euro arrive in a forest for a brief rest. The agent, bothered by the odor, tells the boy to take off his clothes. After traveling in the wagon with the dead bodies, he stinks badly, and it would be wise to clean his garments before they go on. At the same time, Euro's sister Hero goes off to locate a secure spot, joined by her friend, who is a trans man. During their journey, they pause at a ransacked shop, looking for provisions, but instead, they come across the scared Nora and Mackenzie. Looking at the girl's leg, Hero sees a bad infected injury and requests Nord to let her give medical help so they can keep going. Back in the woods, Sarah and York's campsite is assaulted by a group of savage bandits. Sarah attempts to divert their attention and calm them, but to prevent any danger, Euro dons a mask and brandishes a stick to frighten the girls off, worried they could jeopardize their scheme. The uninvited visitors depart, but Sarah and Euro choose not to remain in place. They travel to the closest town, where they exchange a helicopter generator and 2 grenades for a motorcycle. As Sarah looks over and examines the motorcycle, Euro, ignoring all safety guidelines, dashes away to an empty area. Believing he spotted his girlfriend bait among the people, this unwise action leads him into a snare. He is encircled by women police officers who rip off his mask and uncover his secret. Sarah must step in to shield her friend. Struggling against the police, she succeeds in pulling Euro to safety. However, the moment they have a chance, Sarah halts the motorcycle to snap the loser out of it and emphasize the mission's importance. A task he had almost ruined. At the same time, Hero, her friend, and their new group of people locate a place to stay for the evening in a deserted women's refuge. Hero tells Nora that his daughter has significant health issues. She requires medicine, but drugstores have been ransacked just like the vacant homes. Overwhelmed by dread and a feeling of powerlessness, Nora goes outside to prevent her daughter from witnessing her crying. However, outside, she encounters a fresh challenge. Women on horseback arrive in the courtyard, stating they are the true owners of the residence, and they are clearly displeased about the unexpected visitors. The remaining guests are soon found by the horsewomen too. They are led into the stables to remove surplus mice for food. But Nora spots something that could rescue them. One of the women on horseback is found to be injured, and Nora requests Hero to check on the girl and offer assistance. Hero does her utmost, but the bullet wound is too serious, and all that's on hand are duct tape and a pair of rubber gloves. Many hours of improvised medical care fail to produce any betterment. The girl's health declines further, and Roxanne, the head of the female gang, chooses to relieve her pain. Nora finds Roxanne to be surprisingly nice and supportive. She asks the visitors to spend the night at their home and assures them she will supply the medicine Mackenzie required. As the team trails Roxanne, Hero understands that antibiotics are only a fraction of what the gang manages. They possess a whole shopping center filled with provisions. At the same time, Sarah and York keep moving towards Boston, aiming to locate geneticist Allison Mann. But upon reaching the city's entry point, they come across a military checkpoint that is well protected and equipped with tear gas. Sarah suggests they separate. She plans to draw the soldiers' attention while Yoro and Amperand bypass the barrier. Upon encountering Boston's co-workers, Sarah soon understands that the lack of men has not eliminated crime from the world. Rebel factions frequently assault Harvard, attempting to infiltrate and discover solutions to their inquiries. The strategy succeeds. As Sarah occupies the soldiers, Yoro sneaks into a headquarters building to conceal himself. But there, he is captured by rebels, which could reveal his identity. Fortunately for him, the rebels think he is a trans man and release him, even informing him where to locate his people, obtain the required hormones, and conceal himself. Finally, Yoro and Sarah find Allison Mann's apartment and later her office at Harvard. The geneticist is not happy to see unexpected guests, but as soon as Yoro takes off his mask, she instantly realizes their purpose. Mann understands he needs to observe the boy in his capigen, but it's not possible to do so at Harvard. No gear or living specimens remain. So she proposes the sole viable choice, going to San Francisco to utilize the laboratory located there. Sarah consents to one more perilous trip, but covertly disables their radio, eliminating their sole means of reaching the president. She then uses the radio's failure as a reason to depart, telling Yoro to look after the geneticist while she searches for an alternative method to contact the White House. At the same time, arguments about who is in charge start up again, but not everyone is paying attention to that. Christine, an assistant to Jennifer Brown, becomes sick and worries she has miscarried, but an ultrasound shows the opposite. The pregnancy is moving along, and there's a good chance the baby will be a boy. Sarah sneaks into someone else's home, discovering that the person living there is just as capable and threatening as she is, a secret agent. The two women start fighting, but after they let each other talk, it's revealed that both trespassers are employed by the same group and arrived for the identical purpose, to locate the homeowner and shoot her. After hearing about the helicopter accident, Jennifer is extremely worried, but Christine attempts to reassure her. The search party stated that they discovered the remains of just 2 pilots. The feeling of safety quickly fades. The president understands that Sarah probably faked the accident to get rid of unwanted observers. A dreadful idea occurs to her. Yoro is with a dangerous criminal, and it's uncertain what Sarah could do to him. Regina Oliver, the leading candidate for president, is taken to the White House. Seizing this opportunity, Kimberly begins planning a takeover to remove the disliked Jennifer Brown and ultimately gain control herself. At the same time, Allison Mann admits to Yoro that she doubts her research will be successful. She is unsure if they will possess the means to discover the cause of the men's deaths or if bringing back the male population is even feasible. It's clear that difficult times are coming for Yoro and his cabin. Before long, they will be used in experiments. Sarah goes back to the office and suggests they leave. Without a clear reason, she misleads York, stating that she talked with his mother and that they now have approval to go to San Francisco. The three adventurers begin their trip, not knowing that a military group is already moving through the city with a picture of Sarah. As the women await a secure interval between the gas attacks, Yoro chooses to go to the location the rebels mentioned, a settlement of transgender individuals where he can take off his mask and reveal his true face without concern. Sarah gets very angry about Yoro's most recent trick, but it quickly becomes obvious that the true danger isn't him, it's her. The police unit gets to the settlement and displays her photograph to everyone. The three manage to get away right under the hunters' noses and take refuge in a church, where Sarah has to confess that she has no contact with the White House and has been making all choices by herself. At the same time, Hero, her friend, and Nora, along with her daughter, remain living in Roxanne's commune. Initially, it appears they discovered a genuine paradise. We have provisions, medical supplies, and security. However, when Nora attempts to remove her daughter from a different radical feminist gathering, Roxanne erupts in anger. She tells them they are visitors and need to obey her rules and do everything she tells them to. Furthermore, Roxanne tries her best to make the young Mackenzie dislike men and become part of their group. A different gathering is cut short by a combat alert. The women promptly erected barriers and equipped themselves to protect their grocery store. The adversaries are revealed to be a small band of desperate women, accompanied by a young girl. Roxanne comes out to greet them, but she no longer allows strangers into her community. She shows no compassion, even for a child, and turns the refugees away, offering no assistance. At the same time, Allison discovers a leaflet among Sarah's belongings. It's a wanted poster for the agent. She advises Yoro to flee to prevent Sarah from putting him in danger, but the boy declines to betray his friend, despite knowing she is concealing something from them. Later that night, Roxanne brings together her commune for a type of festive occasion. As the ceremony starts, she speaks to the audience about Laura, a member of the movement, whom Roxanne affectionately refers to as the Amazon. Initially, all appears normal, but as the festivities continue, Hero and her friends start to feel that something quite odd is occurring. Laura is initially covered with dirt, then fully immersed in a bathtub, and upon her reappearance, everyone starts referring to her by a different name, Athene. Feeling very disturbed by everything, Sam, the hero's transgender friend, exits the hall. A member of the group trails him to caution him about confronting Roxanne, but she ends up getting into difficulty herself. She is called in right away for a discussion. Back at the White House, Jennifer gets a message that the search team has found Sarah and is getting ready for an attack. The president starts to get concerned that the scouts could also discover her son. However, by then, Allison persuades York to depart and the two flee into the woods. Stress increases. The pursuers attempt to reach York and Allison, but Sarah incapacitates the soldiers and wrecks their communication devices, severing the connection to the White House. Later that evening, Nora is roused by the noise of shouting. Carefully and quietly, she peeks from the room and observes a group of Amazons punishing a girl because she talked to Sam. The pleasant-looking women are actually cruel, but Nora chooses not to get involved. She desires her daughter to remain secure, and because of that, she is prepared to follow their regulations. Sarah locates a van, and the group proceeds with their trip to San Francisco. Even though Yoro and Allison tried to get away on their own, this only made things more difficult between them. Sarah loses faith in her friends, causing yet another catastrophe. She dozes off while driving, and the car veers off the road. After getting out of the crashed vehicle, Allison attempts to locate Sarah, but she is no longer in the driver's position. Instead, a group of military trucks quickly shows up close by, and they are not connected to the White House. Jennifer learns about the event, and also that a man was one of the escapees. As the president tries to shift blame away from her son, Yoro wakes up in a strange house.